We all just learned that Ford is about to sell. It's one of its remaining factories in Europe. In fact, in Germany, to who else but BYD. Now the thing is, people don't realize that this is not a standalone sale. This is one of many. In fact, over the past 15 years, Ford has sold its assets off at a rapid pace in Europe. In fact, it's not disclosing this information, but last year it put its factory up for sale in Spain. In 2020, it sold off its factory in the United Kingdom, in Bridgend. In 2019, it got rid of a big factory in France. And in Russia, it shut down its facilities over there in that same year as well. Ford is shrinking. And frankly, its future in Europe is more than likely finished. While I'm sure many of you were expecting something like this would happen, it was really only a matter of time before the big new electric car players started muscling in on the old world. This is what's happening. And I have to say, it's a little bit alarming for these mainstream auto companies. Ford appears to be on the brink of selling its factory to BYD. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. And doesn't this just remind you of when Tesla bought Toyota General Motors, their old factory in Fremont, California? And we saw what happened next, right? Well, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to every single one of you for helping me personally. It's made an enormous difference in being able to pay my wife's medical bills, which are going to be in a couple of $100,000 sort of region. And you guys have really made that possible. So thank you so much for contributing to our GoFundMe campaign. It's been amazing. Now, if anyone's asking you for donations in the comments, like people commenting, just ignore those. They're spammers. They keep on spamming the channel. I can't get rid of them. Unfortunately, we've deleted hundreds of their spamming comments. I can't believe people have this zero ethics and morals and they're willing to do this kind of stuff, but they clearly don't care. So yeah, my apologies for that. I just can't stop it. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't have any way of preventing these spammers from constantly getting into the comment section and telling you to give them money and pretending to be me. So what's going on in Europe? Well, Ford is getting interest from 15 potential investors for its plant in Saarlouis, which builds the Ford Focus compact car. The Ford Focus compact car is basically dead. I mean, yeah, it's seen the end of its days essentially. Ford thinks that it doesn't make enough profit from that car, thinks it doesn't make enough profit from small cars, doesn't want to sell small cars anymore. A lot of car manufacturers are going that way. Obviously, Chinese manufacturers are just saying, oh, thanks very much, we'll take that market. That's realistically what's happened. So it's not just Ford, it's other car companies as well. However, Ford appears to be in direct talks right now with BYD over the sale of this factory, which is in Germany. The Wall Street Journal has reported, citing people apparently who are aware of these talks that are happening right now. Ford is going to end production of the Focus at the plant in early 2025, meaning 2 years away, as the company is shrinking its passenger car lineup in Europe and focusing on electric cars and light commercial vehicles. Now, I personally don't see why you would sell a factory unless you plan on actually reducing your number of cars you sell in Europe. And right now, the truth is Ford doesn't sell that many cars in Europe. It does in the UK. It's very popular in the UK, but outside of the UK, not so much. Now, to give you an idea of just how significant these numbers actually are, in 2005, Ford sold nearly 1.8 million vehicles in Europe. By 2020, 15 years later, that figure had shrunk to less than 900,000. And this has affected Ford's decision in Europe. It's changed its strategy completely, which is probably the reason why it's selling off factories cheaply. This is what happens. Manufacturers like Ford, Toyota, Mazda, etc., they give you this idea, right? They give you this stock report. They give you basically, just trying to simplify this, they give you an idea of what their assets are. They say, these are our assets, these are our liabilities. And when they have their assets list on the list, what they do is they just have their own valuers go in and say, oh, this car factory is worth $17 billion. It's amazing. I mean, you look at this for Toyota. Toyota claims they have more. Toyota claims they have hundreds of billions of dollars of assets. None of them are liabilities, even though they produce old models of cars, which won't be relevant in the future. But anyway, what happens is companies say, okay, this factory is worth $20 billion. I guarantee you, when we see the sales price of this factory, when it's disclosed, when we see how much Ford sell it to BYD for, that figure will be a fraction of the book value that Ford put on the company. Now, I'm not just saying Ford does this. I mean, this is what every single legacy automaker does. When I say legacy automaker, I mean all the old world automotive companies. They all do this. So Ford executives are planning to travel to China next week to discuss the sale with BYD. They think BYD will pay the most. Ford said last June it is seeking alternatives for vehicle production in Germany, including using other manufacturers. And then I just saw a picture of an electric car, which looks like a Volkswagen, but it's a Ford. It's a new model. No one's seen it yet, but we've seen some spy images. Now, the factory actually employs 4,600 workers, all of whom, of course, will no longer be employed as of 2025. The journal report said Ford is gauging interest from 15 potential investors. However, BYD appears to be the company who are most likely to get the sale. Ford said on Tuesday it has intended to decide by mid-January on how many jobs it will cut in Europe after announcing plans to cut 3,200 jobs at its Fiesta factory in the German city of Cologne. In other words, Ford is ending the Fiesta and it's ending the Focus. So what does this mean for Ford's future? Well, first of all, Ford is going to consider, in fact, it's going to put fixed prices on its cars in Europe. And it's going to start this next year in 2024. Now, reports are saying that the Ford Fiesta, which is Ford's best-selling car in Europe, is going to be, it's going to die. It's going to be axed, deleted from Ford's sales. And the reason for this is Ford don't make enough money selling these cars, even though they're very, very popular. Now, apparently the Ford Fiesta will end production this year in Europe and cease to be sold. And it's, like I said, one of the best-selling cars in Europe. So it's going to be a big loss to a lot of people. Now, this demise of the Ford Fiesta marks a shift in buyer taste towards SUVs and electric vehicles. I think they could electrify the Fiesta. I think that would be a better option than electrifying all the big SUVs. But anyhow, this underlines the financial challenges of developing affordable hatchbacks. And you can see why this market would be dominated by Chinese manufacturers who are actually able to produce these affordably. Now, Ford say it costs as much to design, develop, engineer, and manufacture a city hatch as it does a much bigger car. But the profits are much smaller because the price range is lower. Now, I find that hard to believe, considering the fact that when you buy a bigger car, you're simply buying more metal, more product. I don't know why that would make any sense, but that's what Ford said. And to be fair, the Fiesta was once a powerhouse in Europe, but its sales figures are declining. In Europe in 2021, Ford sold 82,000 Ford Fiestas. That was down from 156,000 the previous year, 230,000 the year before that, and 460,000 a few years before that. I mean, Ford was selling nearly 500,000 of these a year not that long ago. So it's gone from being, Europe's most popular car for a while to now being a car that has become basically irrelevant and one that will meet its deathbed very soon. Now, one of Ford's most popular vehicles in Europe is their plug-in hybrid SUV called the Escape. And that's been a good seller for Ford, but that's probably going to change. The reason for that is because incentives for plug-in hybrids have now been abolished in most European countries. Those incentives were definitely driving sales. We saw a big spike in sales of the Ford Escape plug-in hybrid right before the incentives were set to end. So I suggest that Ford's going to struggle to sell those. Ford do plan on selling electric cars in Europe, but they just don't have many to sell. They don't make many. Now, interestingly, Ford used to be a powerhouse in Europe, right? Even now, after the closure of about 8 different Ford factories over the past 20 years in Europe, they still have a very large number of facilities. They have one in Germany, in Aachen. They have another one in Cologne in Germany, which employs 4,500 people. Another factory in Marcinich in Cologne in Germany. Another one in Romania, which has 6,300 staff. They have a factory in the United Kingdom with 1,835 staff in Dagenham. They have one in Dunton Waylets in the United Kingdom with 3,000 staff. They have another one in Halewood, Merseyside in the United Kingdom with 715 staff. They have another factory in Turkey with 7,500 staff. Another factory in Belgium. Another one in Germany in Sarkui, I think it's pronounced. Another one in Spain. which they're actually planning on selling as well with 3,500 staff. Now, they have actually closed nearly half of their facilities over the past 20 years in Europe. Here you go. Germany, obviously set to sell this factory, right? United Kingdom, Ford had a facility in Bridgend with 1,700 employees. That one shut down in 2020. It had one in Belgium with 4,500 employees. That one shut down in 2014. It had one in France with several thousand employees. That one shut down in 2019. It had another one in the United Kingdom. That one shut down in 2013. Another one in the United Kingdom. That one shut down in actually 1931. That wasn't so recent. That one was in Trafford Park, Manchester. However, a more recent factory that was shut down as well was one in Belarus, which made the Ford Escort and the Transit. That one shut down in the year 2000. And then it had a facility in Russia, which it no longer operates, which shut down permanently for good in 2019. As you can see, Ford Europe is basically a shell of what it used to be. It's around 50% of its former size. I think more than likely, Ford will cease to exist in Europe within the next 10 years. I'm pretty sure they're aware of that, and that's why they're selling their assets off. They're planning on focusing on their profitable market. Their most profitable market in the world by far is people who buy F-Series trucks in the United States and Canada, and Mexico probably as well. And of course, it does make money in China, but I don't see how that's going to work for it long term. Ford could eventually just be a one continent brand. I'm talking North America. And to be honest, that would probably make the most sense for it, because then it could simply simplify operations and focus on what it does best, making trucks. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.